have to apologize first and foremost because I am going to be the fastest of all six of us. I have a problem. I talk really, really fast. I can't do anything about it. But what's good is you can go back on the recording and play it at half speed, and then I'll be talking normal for you to watch later. So let's get started. In the book of Acts, we find the records of 3 of Paul's missionary journeys. His first took him through Cyrus, Pamphylia, and Galatia. His second missionary journey takes him through Galatia, Macedonia, and Achaia. His third through Galatia, Asia, Macedonia, Achaia, and ends in Jerusalem. His journey totaling somewhere around 10 years. After his third missionary journey, he's imprisoned in Caesarea and then transported to Rome, his imprisonment totaling 4 years. That's 10 years of ministry, and if you know Paul, that's also another 4 years of ministry while he's in prison, 14 years total. Now, during his third missionary journey while in Corinth, Paul writes this really interesting letter that you and I know today as Romans. And he says this incredibly interesting line, Romans 1:13, I do not want you to be unaware, brothers and sisters, that I planned many times to come to you, but have been prevented from doing so until now, in order that I might have a harvest among you, just as I have had among the other Gentiles. What's also interesting is that he writes a letter to the Thessalonians, sharing a similar sentiment a couple of years before during his second missionary journey, also written in Corinth, 1 Thessalonians 2:18. For we wanted to come to you, certainly I, Paul, did again and again, but Satan blocked our way. And that sure sounds like Paul getting stopped, doesn't it? We find this time and time again in Paul's journey. Something stops him, redirects him, or forces him from doing the work he was called to by Jesus on Damascus Road. Acts 13, verses 50 and 51. But the Jewish leaders incited the God-fearing women of high standing and the leading men of the city. They stirred up persecution against Paul and Barnabas and expelled them from the region. So they shook the dust off of their feet as a warning to them and went to Iconium. Acts 14, 4 through 7. The people of the city were divided. Some sided with the Jews, other with the apostles. There was a plot afoot among both Gentiles and Jews, together with the leaders, to mistreat them and stone them. But they found out about it and fled to Lycaonian cities of Lystra and Derbe and to the surrounding country, where they continued to preach the gospel. Acts 16, 6 through 8. It's a lot. Paul and his companions traveled through the region of Phrygia and Galatia, having been kept by the Holy Spirit from preaching the word in the province of Asia. When they came to the border of Mysia, they tried to enter Bithynia, but the Spirit of Jesus would not allow them to. So they passed by Mysia and went down to Troas. Paul kept getting stopped. I remember the first summer in New Mexico, I'd been serving at our youth camp in Ruidoso, and when the camps were over, Natalie and my mom came to pick me up. This massive storm moved in and was on top of us the entire way back to Dallas, my home. We ended up getting stuck in Brownfield, Texas, south of Lubbock, and couldn't get past. While trying to get home the next day, all the routes were blocked by water, down trees, down power lines. The plans we had made were ruined, and they had to be changed. Have you ever been stopped? Have you found yourself in this holding pattern, or even worse, someone or something has stirred up persecution against you like Paul and Barnabas? Probably not, but it may not be that extreme, but we have a lot of obstacles in our way. Whatever it is, a better job, better finances. It's the beginning of the year. Going to the gym. We have so many obstacles that whether we create them or whether there's something or something else in the way, even deeper, we have obstacles in our relationship with Jesus. Paul had this longing to go to Rome. He was a Roman citizen after all. It was his home. It was his people. He wanted to connect with those who had not yet heard the gospel. He knew the good that could be done in Rome if he could get there, but continued to be prevented. And throughout Acts in Antioch, Iconium, Asia, and more, Paul would do incredible works, preach the gospel, perform miracles, and then someone or something would come along and stop him. But Paul's response was never, okay, I'm done. He never gave up in his mission to get the gospel to the Gentiles. Every opportunity he had, he went for it. Acts 21 and 2, when the uproar had ended, Paul sent for the disciples, and after encouraging them, said goodbye and set out for Macedonia. He traveled through that area, speaking many words of encouragement to the people. When you and I get stopped, we have this hesitation that stirs up and starts telling us we can't move any further, or we get anxious and think that we shouldn't even start because we'll never be able to finish, or because we'll never be the best, or because we think it should be perfect when we start. In actuality, we miss the opportunities in the present because we're waiting for the perfect moment. We're waiting for the obstacle to be removed, but we end up missing out on what's right in front of us. It's kind of like the idea of dress for the job you want, not the job you have. What do you want in 10 years in the future? What's the steps you can take today to make it happen? Being unstoppable, it's not about plowing through and busting through and tearing things down as you go. It's not running through walls like a superhero scene in a movie. It's being consistent in your calling and your purpose, where you are when you are. Making choices of this is my calling, and I'm going to pursue it now, creating opportunities, not when the right moment arises. Paul knew he wanted to get to Rome, but he also knew that every region had people that needed to know the gospel. Romans 15, 20 through 22. It has always been my ambition to preach the gospel where Christ was not known, so that I would not be building on someone else's foundation. Rather, as it is written, those who were not told about him will see, and those who have not heard will understand. This is why I have been hindered from coming to you. What is that that's hindering you, stopping you, holding you, letting you hold you back? Are you waiting for the perfect moment? The moment is now, and the opportunity is available.